Welcome to BNOW, where we discuss what is happening in and around Brampton. We have a busy schedule tonight. We're going to talk about a medical school coming to Brampton. We're going to talk about the post-secondary educations that come along with that medical school. Also going to talk to Councillor Rowena Santos, Ward 1 and 5 representative, about those medical school post-education, the IC and the CAO. We had Martin Medeiros and Pat Fortini on 2 weeks ago talking about that letter that they wrote, that democracy is under siege. So we're going to get a different viewpoint from Councillor Rowena Santos, who joins me now. Thank you for joining us, Rowena.
See you, and hi, Don. Great to see you, and good evening, Brampton.
Good. So the first thing it was a good announcement today from the Ford government. Ryerson University has committed, and the province is committed as well, to a medical school, post-secondary and postgraduate, and we have a video, so let's see a little bit about
expansion to the medical education in Ontario. We're building the brand new Ryerson School of Medicine that will open right here in Brampton. We want doctors from this community, trained in this community, serving this community.
For the past 2 years, the people of Brampton and Peel and Ryerson University have been working to shape plans for a new kind of a medical school, an innovative school that reflects the needs of this diverse and fast-growing region. Brampton deserves a medical school that is based on the kind of healthcare this community needs. Today's announcement is a major investment in the future of Brampton, and we thank Premier Ford and his government.
So that's a great announcement.
It was absolutely fantastic. It was good to be there in person today in Ward 1 at the Ryerson Venture Zone. That's where the announcement was made. And I got to tell you, Don, and the residents of Brampton, we have been, the Mayor, Patrick Brown, and this term of council has been advocating aggressively for more post-secondary opportunities in the city of Brampton. And it's so wonderful to see some of those pieces come together, especially with this one announcement today with a medical school, which is actually going to educate and create more doctors here in the city of Brampton. I think we're looking at about 150 seats, 150 spaces for more doctors in Brampton and probably across the province as well.
So they're starting off with, I think, 80 post-secondary and 95 postgraduates.
Yeah.
So that's something to look forward to. I think their total completion date is 2025. So that's the first piece into a puzzle, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I think one of the more urgent needs for a medical school in Brampton has to do with the experience we had during the course of the pandemic. Obviously, Mayor Patrick Brown and council declared a healthcare emergency even before the pandemic began. And during the course of the pandemic, we saw with our own eyes how Brampton has been chronically underfunded in terms of equity with respect to healthcare dollars. And so this move with the medical school not only addresses our aggressive push for more post-secondary opportunities in Brampton for our Brampton students, but also helps us achieve some of those calls to action with respect to a healthcare emergency.
So where is this going to be actually? Is it going to be in the downtown core or close to the Peel Memorial? Where is it going to be?
I think that Ryerson is currently looking for the most appropriate location, obviously with the expansion of Peel Memorial Hospital. I know they also want to have a practical aspect to the new model that they're delivering on this particular medical school. So I imagine it will be somewhere near the hospital, Peel Memorial in particular. And I know that they're looking at different spaces as we speak.
So the phase 2 of the Peel Memorial under the Liberal government, that was supposed to be obviously built before, and they lost the election. That was supposed to be part of that whole secondary phase of the Peel Memorial, where they were going to have actually a whole bunch of buildings on that, which would be training facilities. Now with the second phase of the Peel Memorial announced by the Ford government, they're supposed to have a cancer care unit on there as well, plus the 250 beds. I think the 2027 date is the final completion. So, you know, I think having more medical personnel here with the school and the cancer ward, hopefully we'll get hard brick and mortar hospitals to go along with all these universities and medical schools as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and it is just the beginning. As you know, Mayor Patrick Brown and this term of council has prioritized advocacy for Brampton University and bringing a university to the city of Brampton. And while the medical school is a piece of that bigger puzzle and bigger need for the city of Brampton, Brampton is still the only large city in Canada without its own full, large, comprehensive university. And so our push since I would say 2019 in this term of council has always been for more post-secondary opportunities and learning here in the city of Brampton for our students, which happen to be in Brampton, one of the youngest population and also the fastest growing city in the country. And so we know that there will be even more demand for people to learn and seek post-secondary opportunities.
Yeah, the post-secondary, that drive to get a university in Brampton, I know it was initially started under Mayor Linda Jeffrey. You had the Blue Ribbon Panel. It was put together. They had Bill Davis. They had a Brampton Board of Trade. They had members of the community that were on that Blue Ribbon Panel to bring and advocate for a university here. Unfortunately, once again, Doug Ford got in and it was canceled, but then now it's being renewed again. The push is still on. This is good news. It's one piece of the puzzle. Yeah. But that advocacy has got to keep going. I know that certain councillors basically were complaining how much the cost of an advocacy is, but they had no problem in the term under Linda Jeffrey advocating for the Blue Ribbon Panel and sitting on it. And now they think a university advocacy doesn't cost any money. For a university, hard brick and mortar, to be in some place, we're talking about $300 million to start. It's not, if you advocate for this thing, it costs a lot of money for advocating universities, and it just doesn't mean the university is going to come here and they're going to fit all the costs. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Don. And I'm so happy that you brought up the Blue Ribbon Panel. And, the Blue Ribbon Panel cost the city of Brampton $750,000 to get to a point where the province at the time, under Kathleen Wynne's government, the Liberal government at the time, said yes to a satellite campus in Brampton in 2018. And then in 2018, with the new provincial government, Doug Ford decided and said, hang on a second, this doesn't make sense for our government. We're looking for a different criteria when it comes to post-secondary learning. And so they pulled the plug. Now, does that mean that $750,000 of advocacy and hard work from that panel was gone to waste? Absolutely not. Because like you said, the economic impact and value of a university coming to the city of Brampton, I'll tell you, because back in 2018, there was an article, or 2017, there was an article about it. The economic impact for a university of 5,000 students coming to the city of Brampton is about $220 million and over 1,500 jobs. And so when you look at the cost of $750,000 from the Blue Ribbon Panel, or the $600,000, which is less in this term of council, to advocate for a large university like Brampton University, it's nothing compared to the economic impact, compared to the amount of investment that a university will take. And at the end of the day, Don, it is the province's decision. So regardless of how hard the municipality advocates for something, as we saw in October of 2018, the province can just pull the plug.
Absolutely. That's another topic, especially, in infrastructure, that I'll be writing about later, which really, gets me going. But, there's a lot of people have been advocating for a university in Brampton. I saw a comment by Azad there. He was advocating for this for many years. I know Patrick Brown has been doing it, carried the torch from Linda Jeffrey. It's something that basically, if you're a big business, and I know Rogers is relocating their main campus to the downtown core, they're looking for talented individuals. Yes. And this doesn't mean high school graduates. They talk about university graduates because they want that. I mean, yeah. Silicon Valley wasn't created because there was no universities in Silicon Valley. It was created because there was a lot of smart people and there was a lot of universities that bring those talented people to that city. As the 9th largest city in Canada, we're woefully underfunded in post-secondary education, as well as medical. So this is good news. It rounds it off. There was another question by Jonathan Wells. Bring that up. This news, is that of any effect on Guelph Humber? What's the story with Guelph Humber?
So first of all, I want to say thank you, Jonathan, for that question. And I saw Azad's comment as well. And Azad, you're correct. And when I saw you on Sunday, I said to you to your face, I have not stopped. We have not stopped. Mayor Patrick Brown and council has not stopped advocating for a full university in the city of Brampton. And we will not stop. We will keep advocating for a full university in Brampton because that's what we deserve. And to Jonathan's question about University of Guelph Humber, that is another opportunity that's coming forward to the city of Brampton because of the momentum that we built with the community, with the residents, with the mayor, with council, with respect to the Brampton U project and the Brampton U movement. University of Guelph Humber is still very much so interested in moving to downtown Brampton. And why not? For all the reasons that Dawn has just shared. And now there's going to be a medical school. Of course, there's going to be more opportunities for post-secondary institutions to come to the city of Brampton. The question is really whether or not council will support it. I will tell you straight up that I support it 100%. And so does Councillor Vicente, and so does Mayor Brown.
Well, I can't believe that, number one, I've been in business all my life. I've worked since I was 16, right? I haven't been in politics, but I know some councillors, that's all the job they've had. And they've been in government. And the thing is, I cannot believe that a councillor would make the choice of saying, this is costing X amount of dollars. We're going to stop our advocacy because we don't want a university and it costs a bit of money. If I'm a corporation or I'm a business, there's an outlay in cities all around the country and the world. They play that game to bring big corporations, big universities, and all that big money that comes with it because there's offshoots. To have a university, there's millions of dollars that is an offshoot to that, just like having a corporation like Rogers relocate to the downtown core, or having MDA in the city of Brampton, or Chrysler. This is what it is. So, from that, it's a good perspective. So let's segue into from the post-education and come into something that we talked with Pat Fortini and Martin Medeiros last week or the week before prior. They wrote a letter basically saying that Brampton local democracy was under siege. They fired the CAO, the six, basically, the sanctimonious six is what I call them. They talk about a blowtorch has been taken, to the rules and the efficacy. We didn't get really a big reason from either of those councillors on why the CAO was fired. What was the igniting torch? They had mentioned in their letter 3 years. And I asked them, well, over 3 years, it took you 3 years before, we're finally taking a blowtorch. And what basically, can you enlighten us why the CAO was let go in the first place? Can you even say it?
I don't think I could really say it. What I can say is that during the past term of council, and folks should absolutely keep in mind that it is an election year. This year, there are two elections, a provincial election and a municipal election. And usually around election time, some election funny business happens. But previous to the election year, over the past 3 years, I should remind folks that we went through an unprecedented historic pandemic. And during that course of the pandemic, the city of Brampton still delivered on many different priorities and many different projects, including the one announcement that we had today, including continuous advocacy on post-secondary education, including continuous advocacy on healthcare, including the revitalization of downtown Brampton, including development applications coming into the city of Brampton like never before, and including ongoing advocacy for transit and electrification of buses. All of these projects and all of these things happened during an emergency for the majority of the term. And kudos to the mayor and to council for helping to roll up our sleeves and get to work and get things done. But I have to say that some of this work and the direction provided during the pandemic was because of the leadership of our staff. And that includes the leadership of the CAO at the time. And during the course of the past 3 years, we also received a number of different awards. Awards for being one of the best top employers in Canada, awards related to AAA credit ratings and financial reporting and budgets, and 4 consecutive budgets of 0% property taxes, a tax freeze, unheard of in the rest of Canada during the course of the pandemic. Now, councillors don't do the work. It's staff who does the work. Councillors provide direction, council provides direction, and it's staff who does the work. And so when it comes to, the CAO no longer being here, perhaps there was not a consensus with respect to whether or not it was the right CAO to be there at the time. But when it comes to performance, when it comes to, the things that CAO did during the pandemic of this term, I think he did a good job.
Well, I covered those points and basically awarded the city, and I covered those points when I was talking to Martin Medeiros and Pat Fortini, and they kind of shrugged it off. I mean, to me, if the city is running and you got 4 years of 0% tax increases and everything else, it doesn't make any sense to me, especially going into an election and coming out of pandemic. But I'm not sitting there as a councillor. I'm on the outside looking in. So the only thing I look at it is I know that he sent a letter, confidential letter, to the councillors, which got out to a post blog, which means some of your councillors are releasing confidential information out to bloggers to talk about the situation that he is now suing the city. He wants, 3 years pay? It amounts to over $1 million in money that he wants out. As well, the HR director has been let go. So that person's gone. Plus, council, you guys just voted on, and I guess the sanctimonious six turned out they fired the integrity commissioner as well.
Yeah, that was another unprecedented move. And under the Municipal Act, we are required to have an integrity commissioner who really is the ethics accountability officer to hold councillors and members of council to account. And so, I declared a conflict of interest because I knew that there was a complaint that the integrity commissioner was currently looking at with respect to myself. Councillor Bowman also declared a conflict of interest with respect to that motion to terminate the integrity commissioner. And I know for a fact that other members of council who actually voted for the termination of the IC were also in a conflict because they currently have complaints issued against them. And so, quite frankly, again, it's election season. The integrity commissioner has been hired by council, appointed by council since July of 2019. I have never heard a complaint from my fellow members of council about her work. I've never heard it publicly. I've never had any questions with respect to her costs or her invoices. There was never any issues there.
There hasn't been any complaint to the integrity commissioner of those who actually haven't been charged. So I know Charmaine Williams, she's got numerous code of conduct violations from that same integrity commissioner. Gurpreet Dillon has also been found guilty of code of conduct. And she mentioned that basically if there was a way to get him off council seat, if it was humanly possible, she would, because of the charges of sexual assault or harassment. I know there's 2 other councillors on this 6 that have integrity commissioner complaints against them. So you have 4 of the 6 are basically deciding to get rid of the integrity commissioner who has complaints or has ruled against the councillors. And in the letter, they talk about basically they are more committed than ever to restore democracy, fairness, and transparency in our local government. Well, if you're looking to, restore transparency, you don't fire the IC because she's got 4 investigations or 2 investigations, which negative connotations against 2, and she's investigating 2 more. To me, I do not understand from a public point of view how they can fire an integrity commissioner. Should be a standalone, and council should not have the say to hire or fire when she's already in there. It just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, it does beg the question of the credibility of some of those arguments within the letters of the 6, really, right? Because if we're talking about accountability and transparency, why during an election year would you choose to vote to terminate the integrity commissioner when you know that she is currently investigating a complaint on you? And that to me, I have some serious concerns about that. And to be perfectly honest with you, it also begs the question about some of the other letters and the other decisions that this particular group of 6 councillors have put out there over the more recent months.
Well, she already, from my understanding, again, this is a leaked confidential letter saying that, if the councillors decide to fire, she was going to file a complaint. So again, now you have a complaint, like the former CEO is suing the city. You're going to have the IC filing a complaint, and you're going to have possibly the HR director. So you're heading up with a whole bunch of litigations before the end of the council. I just don't understand why these things didn't start. The new council is going to be elected, right? October, the elections. Were things falling apart? Was there, the walls crumbling at City Hall so bad that these had to be taken care of right away?
I don't know. It's election funny season again, which I'll see again, and so I don't know. You're going to have to ask them those questions directly. I can't speak for them, that's for sure. But what I can say is that as a first term councillor, serving on this council during the course of the pandemic and all of the things that we've been able to achieve, not just as a council and with the Mayor Patrick Brown there as well, but as a staff and as a team at the city of Brampton. And so I'm just as perplexed and confused as to what the MO is with respect to this majority vote or block vote of 6. And I certainly am concerned about what happened this past week with respect to the integrity commissioner. And I think that residents should be concerned as well.
Well, they're concerned because, number one, you have two ongoing complaints. So what happens with an ongoing complaints with the integrity commissioner? Do they get thrown out, or they get mothballed until you guys hire a new integrity commissioner? What happens next?
Yeah, and that's the unknown. So I declared a conflict of interest. So I wasn't privy to the in-camera discussions with respect to any of those things. But I don't know. Like the Municipal Act says that we are required to have an integrity commissioner to look into these things. If the integrity commissioner was terminated while she was looking into complaints on members of council, I don't know what's going to happen to those complaints. I can't answer that question for you. And residents should be wondering what is going to happen and who else has complaints filed against them, because it seems very suspect to me.
Well, absolutely. And if that can happen, that basically, in my mind, is not any kind of democratic process. That just basically puts the foxes in charge of the hen house, and they can do whatever they want. So you've got 6 councillors that decide basically to meet on their own, to talk about something. And now out of the 11, basically, they have the majority. They can do whatever they want, which is kind of funny, because when I was talking to Martin Medeiros, he said earlier there was a certain amount of collaboration between other councils to get stuff done. And I'm thinking, okay, you only have 11. You guys are 6. Yeah. So how is that? The majority sits with you, not with the finger pointing to the other 5 councillors, because it's just 6-5. So
my son tells a very funny joke, and it's a boy joke. He's 12 years old. And the joke is, whoever smelt it, dealt it. And so I don't know what's going on there, Don, but what I will say is that I will continue serving the residents of Brampton and advocating for the right things for the city.
Good. Okay, so let's move on, because that's gonna come to a head sooner or later. And in between, you're gonna have provincial elections and municipal elections coming up. But citizens should not have to deal with something like this on a regular basis, because those settlements are going to come out of our tax dollars. Mayor Brown decided to run for the leadership. Here he is coming into the. He's got some big bodyguards with him too. Eh? So he's announced that he's running for the leadership of the Conservative Party of Canada. How do you feel about that?
I think it's fantastic. In 2018, in the campaign of 2018, I did not support Patrick Brown. And then when he became the mayor of the city of Brampton, he really put in a strong effort to bring the council together and to bring everybody together and advocate and fight for what's best for our city. And I have to tell you, both Councillor Vicente and I were really impressed within a few short months of the work that Patrick Brown was doing as the mayor of Brampton. And then certainly through the course of the pandemic, we saw Mayor Patrick Brown fighting for Brampton on the news almost every single day. And so, we are Team Brampton. And as much as I would like to definitely keep Mayor Brown here at the city of Brampton, I know that whatever he's going to do, in, whatever he chooses to do, he's going to be fighting hard for Brampton, but also all the residents across the country.
Well, and I know what a hard campaigner he is, and a relentless campaigner. He'll go to 10, 20, 15 events in one day, which is like, unheard of. And during the last campaign, that's what he was doing. I mean, he was there. He was out doing, even today. I mean, he's still out doing things and running around the city. So across the nation, if he's going to be doing that from coast to coast, if anyone can do it, he can do it. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you know what? As soon as if he has the opportunity to become Prime Minister of Canada, you bet that council, myself personally, I'm going to be knocking on his door, asking for those millions of dollars for our tunnel, for the LRT, asking for support for our own large university, asking for support for childcare, et cetera, for Brampton. But I won't even need to convince him, because he knows. Because he had already campaigned for it as mayor of Brampton. And that's the beauty, that's the huge benefit for the residents of Brampton, for the council of Brampton to be supporting Patrick Brown as to become the leader.
Yeah, and it'll be it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I know that Pierre Poilievre, I mean, as soon as Patrick announced, within I think 2 minutes on Twitter, he was already tweeting out some sort of slag against him. So the race is on. It's obviously going to get down and dirty with Pierre Poilievre throwing out the insults left, right, and center. And I know that's the type of campaign he's going to run. But Mayor Patrick Brown, I mean, he's out there. He does it. There's a lot of people that have been impressed with his tenure in Brampton. So we'll see how it pans out. I wish him all the best of luck. I know how hard he works, and he's very approachable, and that's one thing that makes him sets him apart from a lot of other people.
Yeah, he's Patrick Brown is a different type of leader, totally, relative to the other folks who I think are running in that leadership race. And I got to tell you, it takes a lot for somebody like me who has a previous history and career with the NDP. But as a councillor in Brampton, I have seen the type of leadership that Patrick Brown has been providing Brampton, and his love for the city and his love for serving residents and doing what is right and doing what is best. And so that is why I support him, even though, if you look at our past, we were on opposite sides of the bench at Queen's Park.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Patrick. He's willing to listen to all points of view and then make his own decision, which is, some people always flip-flops on this. Changing your mind on a certain topic after taking a look and studying it is not a weakness. Mm-hmm. What's a weakness is sticking to your point of view when you know it's wrong.
Yes.
Like you taking a look at it and say, yeah, I never thought about that. That's a good idea. Maybe we should incorporate that. And that's what he talks about, the Bill Davis style of progressive conservatives that he's trying to bring back, because that's what you need to be able to go against someone like Trudeau. And that's what the Conservative Party has been missing. They've got too many people with the blinkers on and not willing to look the other way. So here's the next question for you, right? If Patrick Brown wins the leadership, who do you think is going to run in the next mayoral election in Brampton?
I'm sure there'll be lots of names coming forward. That's for sure. I am sure that there will be a lot of people interested in the top job at the city of Brampton should Mayor Brown have to leave us. But until then, Mayor Patrick Brown is still the mayor of Brampton, and we have to respect that and make sure that that he does his job as mayor of Brampton.
All right, so we're going to ask you later on after if you're going to throw your hat, in the ring there.
Maybe you could ask me later, perhaps.
And then later, yeah.
But I got to tell you, Don, I love serving the residents of Wards 1 and 5. So anyone in Wards 1 and 5, Jonathan Wells, I saw you there. And Azad, thank you very much for your comments. And everybody else who's watching. Both Councillor Vicente and I really love and we're very proud to serve the residents of Wards 1 and 5. And we will always, always fight for what's best for the city of Brampton as a whole.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I would not run again because, having to deal with a bunch of, 10 miscreants that are in there right now, that would drive me crazy. I'd have you all taken out and shot against the back wall of the city hall. or
maybe behind a barn.
Oh, behind $1 million barn. Exactly. Right. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Rowena. We enjoyed it. We will talk to you, I'm sure, in the future because there's a whole bunch of things that are coming across your desk and up in Brampton. So thank you for joining us. And thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you
Thank you
next
so
week.
much.